engineered drawings to specifications. And, you know, if you don't agree with me, you can ask me.
Mr. Nipsey?
Through your worship, it's not that we don't agree. It was stated that he's clearly following the standard that's at hand. What council is discussing is the potential to change that standard and increase it to handle a larger capacity storm. So no one on this side of the table has ever noted that that's not functioning to what it was designed for. What we're saying is that what it was designed for is not able to handle the storms of the present and potentially the future.
And I'd just like to make another point. Another development that several years ago when we couldn't sell lots and I came to council asking them to be able to put signs on private property in town. And we almost got turned down. I think Sherry there helped me out. And Sherry Bondi, is it? Yeah. She helped me out because people were saying it was going to distract motorists when they see the sign, they're not paying attention to the road. She says, hell no, it's people texting on their telephones that's distracting them. She says, I think it's a good idea. We should approve these signs. And we got them. And I want to tell you that helped reduce flooding in this town. And let me point out what happened because we were able to sell some lots in a highly depressed market because of the help that we got from signage and the help that we got from the town. We put a storm sewer in the next phase of Jacana that connected a lot of the town to the storm sewer across the highway. If it hadn't been for those sales that I was able to make of those lots, that development may have not have been started yet, and you wouldn't have had that sewer, and you would have had a hell of a flood over here if that sewer wasn't connected to the storm pond across the highway, which I'd say at least 80% of the benefit of that storm sewer was for the rest of the town. I think the next portion was to be able to get the Kimball project going because they didn't have access to storm. And we only had a little teeny bit, like 5% help the Jacana development because it was so small compared to the other benefits that happened. So not all development makes things flood. That's the point I'd like to make, So if this development here were to go forward and we do the pond in the right way like we've done it before, we shouldn't hurt the town and create more flooding for the town. Anyway, that's the point I wanted to make, that's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, folks, go ahead.
Mr. Valenti, in all due respect to you, sir, I hear what you're saying, and I hear your progression, and I understand you're a developer, but what I don't understand is and you know I got the utmost respect for you. You sit there and you say, if it wasn't for you, we'd have a hell of a storm, or we'd have a lot of flooding. You made reverting to that.
Oh no,
we just went through that. In all due respect to you.
I said with the help of the town and Sherry Bondi.
Raymond, Councilor Volk has the floor. You know better, okay? When he has the floor, shh, and you should shut your mic off. Okay, you're done. Thank you very much. You say if it hadn't been for this and that and everything, we would have had a lot of flooding. I don't know how we could have had any more flooding than we have had That's why these people are here. You mean to say the whole town would have flooded? I don't know. I hear where you're coming from, but there's no guarantee to these people that you saved them. You were the savior. And that's it. You're done, sir. And I'm going to ask now for anyone like to make comments. We had a couple of the people on the committee here had their hand up. Maybe Mrs. Rupert, was it you? Or Rive? I did, sir. You might want to use your mic. Everybody can hear you then.
Sorry about that. Just 3 things, and Chris, directed more to you, is basically I just want to know for the people here, are the pipes for these new homes that are going to be built going to be tied into the old system, and is it going to overtax our old system even more?
Through your worship, sir. Yes, they are tied to the existing system. They're not on a separated system. They are tied. As noted to Councillor Vokes before, will they tax? Again, the sanitary system is designed to handle every dry weather flow. The issue is with rainwater getting into the sanitary system. As long as these new homes are built to not allow rainwater into the sanitary system, in theory, the sanitary system should not be taxed as far as rainwater and the recent flooding. Will the stormwater system be taxed? Yes, there will be additional flow towards the storm sewer system, which adds to more water in the roads potentially, and then potentially if that water is getting, not if, how that water is getting into the sanitary system. So in a roundabout way potentially, but sanitary not so much. Storm, yes, it will add to that system.
So in both storm and sanitary, there is a possibility, more in storm, but not necessarily in sanitary, but there is still a possibility that this will tax both systems.
Through your worship, I mean, tax or add to it, I guess it will add to it, definitely. As far as tax goes, depending on the level of storm, again, for a 1 in 3 year storm, no issues. For a 1 in 100 year storm, definite issues. So will it add to the storm sewer system? 100%. I mean, that's a no-brainer, obviously. We're connecting to an existing system. Will it add to the existing sanitary system? Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're all here for, is to put a stop to this building today. We would like more building in Essex, I definitely would, but we need to stop it today until we can figure out how to stop adding to the system. So that's what I think we are all here at this 5 o'clock meeting for. 6 o'clock meeting is a different issue. So the other question I have is, we're no longer having a 1 in 100 year storm. We are having a 1 in every 4 month storm. We are being flooded every 4 months. It's been 12 months since our last meeting in September or October, and most of us, including myself, have flooded 4 times. So it's not 1 in 100 years, it's 1 in 4 months. For this building, what year storm is the town building for on this site? Like, what are we preparing for on this site? If just this site is preparing for 1 in every 4 months, then I might say, okay, well, that's a good thing. Maybe let's continue the building. But if we're just going to continue to add to the pipes that are only prepared to handle 1 in 100 year storms, then we have to stop this building.
Thank you very much. I know Mr. Mills had his hand up, so he'll be next. And sir, someone over on this side, and you'll be next. And give us your name, just for the recording secretary here. Thanks.
Just real quickly, Glenn Mills. I'm very fortunate to live at the end of Gallows Drive, apparently. All I know is this is this the second flood I've had in less than a year. I lived there 15 years. I've never had a flood there. 15 years. They built a new subdivision. I had 2 floods in a year. You can tell me about your retention pond. You can tell me all you like. The thing is full of debris, full of garbage. It was overflowed the other day at 10 o'clock in the morning after I left Russ Phillips' office. I had 2 feet of water in the front of my house. Already, you tell me, what's overflowing the road? Is 2 feet of water overflow? Can I canoe down my street? Is that overflow, Chris? I'm just curious. Is that overflow? Is that what you build this roads for, to be able to canoe down someone's street? I want to know that. Is that overflow?
Yeah, that would be overflow.
2 feet? Okay. I guess the road's designed well, apparently. All right, but I'd like to know, and the frustrating part to me is that we're here, and we're here to rezone this thing that's already been declared to be able to build on already, correct? Is that true? That it's already been approved to be able to build houses there already? So you sit here and tell me, everybody here up front tells me that you have a concern for these people out here, and yet you've already passed this thing to build more houses there when the townhouses or when the houses are flooding already. That's ridiculous. Well, I'm telling you, if it's all, I seen a sign at the end of my road that says it's coming. And now he wants to rezone to townhouses to even put more people in there? But everybody cares about the flooding, right? I said 15 years I've lived there. I have $52,000 worth of insurance bills already that hasn't even been completely finished yet, and my basement just reflooded again. They still owe me $25,000 out of my own pocket, and we want to rebuild more houses? And you guys care about that. There might be a couple, but don't blow any more smoke up my ass, because I am pissed. I am pissed. And I got to ask one more question. Mr. Graff, I got to ask a question towards you. Is it true one of your workers was in someone's house the other day where they were viewing the flood, and they actually said that you said on the telephone, "Don't call me, I'm turning my phone off because I don't have time for this anymore"?
No, that's not true.
Really?
That's correct.
Okay. Again, man, this is gonna change. This stuff needs to change, okay? And I don't know what it's gonna take, but people need to pay attention, because I'm not going away. Already, my house is flooded twice, and I am not going away. All right? I'm sick and tired of this nonsense. 2 feet is not acceptable. You do not build a road. I don't know where you got your degree or whatever it is, Tris, but I don't know an architect in the country, if that's what you are, that would say 2 feet of water on a road is acceptable. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, sir? Sir?
It's too far. I got a loud voice, if that's okay. Randy Sempraga, Joan Flood resident. I'd just like to take the opportunity to speak to this actual motion on the floor today regarding the development that Mr. Valente wants to do. It's absolutely ludicrous for anybody to approve this for future builds. Who is going to want to build here if we don't rectify the problem now? Now, I have heard a lot of talk about probabilities. There's one absolute in all of this nightmare. People are going to get hurt. Families are going to come apart. Divorces are going to happen. This is not fun. Do Mr. Valente and all the developers a favor and help them and not allow future builds. I want to take the opportunity to thank my in-laws sitting here to my left for coming over at 2 a.m. to help my wife and I try and save our third flood. To the young families in the room, I feel for you. This is something nobody should have to go through. So, Mr. Valente, I support workers. I want people working in our community because they're going to spend here. Stop this development now because you're not going to have any future development coming in. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Someone else? Yes, sir.
I can only speak for what happened at my house, but unless I'm hearing things, do you guys hear me or I need to use that thing? Rick Pascal. How do I turn this on?
Press this here. No, yeah.
Okay, better? Okay, I can only speak for my house, but unless I'm hearing things, I heard over here that once we get the 2 feet on the road, my sump pump can still work. Not the one at my house, baby. It stopped. It couldn't move that water a quarter of an inch, and I had Niagara Falls coming in through a 4-inch pipe. You couldn't put a piece of paper in the air hole at the top. It was roaring in, and what I did on my own, of my own accord, I put a second sump pump in the hole, and I built my own pipe going out the window. That's the one that saved my bacon the other night, because it fired that water out the window. My main pump could not move that water at all. So, you know, as far as where's the water coming from, I put that backflow valve in there, which closed and kept the. Last time I was shoveling the O'Henrys out of my basement. This time the valve thing did close and stop the sewer from coming in my house. But once it did that, of course, now I can't do my business anymore. Can't have a shower. My wife had to go into Windsor. You can't do anything. It was 1 o'clock the next afternoon when that flap finally opened again. But I had to look down in that hole to check it. And when I did, a valve that's usually there dry was covered up with this much water on top of it. So my pump could not pump the water out to the street, and where the water is coming in is through my big O. It's coming all down through the ground. Now another thing, where I live at 224 Bryan West, out behind me they just dug a nice swat for a road. And they made these enormous berms all the way around there, and they just left them there. They've been there for 3 or 4 months now. So now where that water used to go flat across a lake, now I got a 5-foot deep lake right behind my house because the water can't go anywhere. When are we taking those mountains down out of there? So that's my piece, and I'm in the same shape. I'm not selling my house to anybody. Nobody would rather bail. I do not want to see my wife in tears anymore. We've done the 3 rebuilds, and the insurance told me to go screw myself when I tried to buy water flood insurance, so I'm on my own now. And I do not want to see my wife, who I love, crying her eyes out anymore. Nobody would rather sell than me. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing that to somebody. I don't want one of those calls. Hey, you know what you are, selling me this house? I'm not doing that. I want something in writing from the town of Essex saying that this problem's fixed before I sell my home to anybody. And truthfully, the only reason I would move is because of the floods. I love my house. I love Essex. I don't want to go anywhere. So that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Oh, Jeff keeps reminding me, if you haven't signed the sheet on your way in, would you on the way out? There are a bunch of them on the desk over here. Next, anyone? You'll be after this.
Laura Mills. I obviously live with Coach Mills. I want to just clarify, because I've heard a lot of people talking about the sanitary storm sewers working, and I want to tell you that my sub pumps, both of them, were working. You had this much space from the top. That wasn't the issue. We had sewage coming up, and I was watching it from my laundry room hole as it bubbled over and then went down. You could hear the noise outside and my neighbors in the manhole, blah, 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 and I'm not kidding you. That's not the issue. We had sewer, and I'm at 81 Townsview. That's the issue.
Yes, sir, in the corner. Yep.
Just a question for Chris and then a comment. The floor drains in our basement, they go into sewage? Yes.
Through your worship, in newer homes, yes. In older homes, maybe not. I don't know. In older homes,
Great, that's exactly what I understood. Number one, getting back to building new homes. When Chris says that we won't tax the sewage, wrong. What happens, Chris, when my sub pump overflows? Where's that water go? New home. Goes into the floor drain. So when you smoked all the drains in Essex and you talk about people illegally pumping into sewage, everybody here, when your sub pump stops working, your water now goes into the sewage system. Correct? So those new homes will tax both systems. So when you sit there and say they won't, that's wrong. Number two, I've moved water for 30 years. I was in the pool business. When you pump into a pail that's empty, and you pump into a pail that's got 15 feet of water on top, you're pumping pressure. Your gallon per minute of your sub pump cuts in half, 3/4. I know because the last rain I had, I was that far from the top. I don't even want to tell you how many floods, how much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. When I convert that out, my pump shuts off. So I'm pumping pressure, and I don't have to. So if you're going to tell us stuff, let's be honest. That's all I ask.
One more time for the secretary, sir. Your name? Young lady in the, yep. Oh, what I gotta do is, let's get back to not so much the drain issues, this issue here with regards to Mr. Valenti's property. Next. Okay, yes, sir?
Ian Stahl, I'm at 310 Victoria. I had Chris and, building, I forget his name. Bill was out at my house, and, they were telling me, I don't know about everybody else, but I think where the other ponds are our basements and our backyard. Because they tell me the water doesn't flow downhill from my house, we flow in the middle. And anybody's welcome to 310 Victoria, you can, anybody stop in and tell me which way that water's flowing. They tell me I'm draining out of my neighbor. My backyard, there's no draining out. It just runs across my backyard. Luckily, my other neighbor, he's hooked in. So it finally does drain out. But they come over, they both are telling me, well, that's too bad. If he puts a berm up there, your backyard floods, that's too bad. I'm thinking of putting sandbags all around my damn house. I ain't got no basement, so I'm happy. Yeah, I hate to be these poor people. They got all fixed up basements, and that's happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back to the topic. Councillor Folks?
I believe everybody who's here is going to have the opportunity to speak again at 6 o'clock. And I think everybody who is here is, if you've been watching what this particular council has been talking about, is certainly not going to approve moving forward with any more development for the short term. And so with that being said, with it being 5 to 6 and the next meeting starting at 6, would council concur with receiving this report and then opening up at 6 o'clock to the new meeting?
Works for me. Is that what you're looking for? Yes. Seconded by Councillor Snively. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carries. Looking for an adjournment? Councillor Caxera and Councillor Snively, any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Be about 5 minutes.